Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
Innovative, revolutionary, stellar development, purest universal knowledge. In a transformative, futuristic design. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Our Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit is constructed from high-quality materials carefully selected by our team of experts. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. For the first time in the history of man, a system has been developed and delivered which not only enhances the physical body of the man, but also enhances the emotional part of the user of the system, hence reducing and eliminating many problems that could not be solved in the world of science, to bring the body of the man into near perfection, as at the time of birth. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists and healthcare centres. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here. The journey from space to spaceship technology has started. Every order is subject to a contractual agreement and might require additional accessories priced separately for applications according to each case. You can order or contact us at office@at.kfm.global for additional information.
Hello and welcome everyone to the 388th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, July 8th, 2021. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host today. And of course, we're joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation. And I'd like to say first, before we begin, that we're not going to have a broadcast to KFTV today, but we do expect to be online next week for a broadcast from the studios of KFTV, and we look forward to that. So, Mr. Keshe, are you ready to go to deliver today's workshop?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual. Wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, we welcome you back to the 388th live session of this series of teachings. And it's becoming very interesting now how knowledge seekers or people who come to seek new knowledge refer to each session. Such and such a topic is in such and such a session number so and so. We have established the ground for what we call referring back to and expanding the knowledge. This is part of our work to bring knowledge freely accessible to everyone, that in time of need one can decide in how they can use the knowledge to their benefit, be it on the health, be it on the space, be it on producing anything or conditions for them to have a better life or creating better life for others. Keshe Foundation Knowledge Seekers has become the cornerstone of knowledge for many, many organizations. They learn from it, they add their knowledge to it, and they expand it in new dimensions and directions. We see a lot of usage of Keshe Foundation technology by different organizations and applications. And we have started asking them to join us to show how they use it, how they benefit by it, and how we can use this knowledge collectively to make a better life. In past nearly 2 years, we have targeted on the development and understanding of the inner system working of the man itself. As man was too physical, he was interested in the magraphs, in cups of life and everything else. But in essence, we try to bring you a new dimension, a new understanding, a new way of thinking about yourself, more than the physical dimension. Understanding that the physical dimension is controlled by a central station, it's called the soul of the man, which again itself is controlled by a central station, what we call the creator. In physical dimension, we connect ourselves through our emotion and through our brain to what we call our soul. And the same goes with our soul in position and dimension, connects itself to a higher dimension, more inner sanctums of life. In a way, if you look at it, we use what we call the physical soul and the cells of the physical brain of the man to, in a way, create a condition of interaction between the energies of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, to give the physicality of the man a reaction gap, that how it will react to its environment. But at the same time, the same thing exists between the soul of the man and the soul of the creator. In that gap, what we call the brain, or the process of the conversion of the feels and emotions, both the creator and the man receive the same emotions. So in a way, we upgrade, we transform energy one level higher. In a way, what we see is we use the brain of the man in a much more condensed way to create a fast interaction between the energies of the soul of the man and the soul of the physicality of the man. And in that interaction, we create emotions or reactions. But the same thing exists, the soul of the man, what it receives from interaction of the emotion of the physicality, it receives and it transfers that in its position and condition in respect to the other souls. In a way, what are called the brain of the unicos, the brain of the universe. And in that process, it interacts with what we call the soul of the existence of the universe, the totality of the dimensions. In a way, our physical emotion creates a physical reaction in our physical body. But at the same time, as it transfers energy back to the soul of the man, that energy, that emotion, it creates a secondary emotion reaction between the soul of the man and the soul of others and the totality of the unical soul, the soul of the creator. So in a way, now for the first time, we understand every action has a reaction, and that reaction, it places us and positions us in the universal community. We decide how we interact, and then we decide to what extent that interaction, without us knowing, will dictate our future. When a man kills a man, then he thinks that's it. I'm a soldier, I'm being told to shoot. I'm killed. God, the soul has seen the other soul which is killed. Then that soul sets everything up for the soul of the man you have taken the life of to balance with your soul in the future. Out of nowhere, you lose your child, get shot. Out of nowhere, you find a loss. And then you say, oh, this accident happened. There was no accident. There was no coincidence. The balance of the souls, the emotion of understanding, the emotion of the presence brings that condition of what I call balancing of the souls in respect to the soul of physicality and the emotion which has created that condition. This is why we forbid kingship, because in that process, one decides on other people's life which has no right to. The soul of the man has to be independent. The soul of the man has to be the king of itself, physicality, and the line of direction and motion with emotion of his creator, the bigger structure. In so many ways, mankind comes to understand there's a bigger picture. I work as a self-employed businessman, but I am actually a member of a big company. My wages are paid by their action and not just me thinking I run a plumbing job and I get paid. The whole structure is how we plumb our system to each other, how we allow the flow of the fields of what we call the water to go through the physicality of the man, through the blood of the man, to the emotion of the man, and then its interaction with it receives to the soul of the creator. In so many ways, mankind has always looked at his end, has never looked at the other end. When the rays of the sun radiate on earth, some of it, for what is created, rains back on the sun too. Then that creates the interaction between the earth and the sun and how things will take place. As a human being, we always looked at our own end. The interaction of the fields of the sun and earth creates light on earth. But that itself, those fields are not in one-way direction and dimension. Some of those fields get attracted back by fields of what we call the sun. And then the space gap between the sun and the earth becomes that brain cell, what we emotionally create. Many times in the dimension of the physical cosmology and what are called science of the cosmos, many scientists have never considered this. We always look at the light, what we see from our end. If that light is created, it's two-dimensional. The others on the other side see the light too. And so that's the information, that's the emotion that our light has created and gives back to them. If we understand this, then we understand the soul of the man shines in front of his creator. We are not the only one who see the beauty of the creator, but the emotion of our interaction with our creator shines on him too. This is what mankind, and in the future, in the space technology, will understand. This is where, if you understand it in a bigger dimension, and you can create that interaction, you travel on the feedback of that light to the creator. to the point of destination you want to go to. When a star shines on you, it's not that you only see the shining of the star. You shine in front of the star too. So you can use that feedback for travel back to the position and the dimension and direction. This becomes as part of the understanding collective and total understanding of the transportation, transmutation, and connection between the dimension of the soul of the man, the physicality of the man, man transporting itself through the dimension of the universe without burning any fuel. Because what we say is what we see is being seen too by the other side what we have looked at. The same strength as we have taken from the dimension, we can use to travel back to the dimension we want to be. In a way, mankind will learn new ways of traveling, new ways to connect the physicality and the soul of the man and understanding of the creation in the dimension of the physicality and the soul of the creator together. This part of the teaching is what will come to many of you, where we start bringing the dimension of the physicality, the dimension of the soul of the man, the understanding of the knowledge of the creation, the creator, transportation and transmutation, all together in one go. It's time for mankind to elevate not only his knowledge, not only his soul, but to understand how to interact, how to bring the two together to enjoy a new dimension in life, in that new dimension in the world of the creation. In so many ways, gradually we'll introduce systems that allows you to see, to understand this transportation, to understand this new dimension, that while you have a brain interacting with the soul of physicality and the soul of the man, your soul of the man creates interaction with the soul of the universe, and it has a brain structure. And that interaction creates emotions. It creates motions and directions. And if one doesn't work, the other one works for it. In so many ways, if you look at the physical dimension of the man, we have the same process. We have a feedback. We have a condition that if one disbalances, one gets alarmed, one gets set off. In the body of the man, you have the blood circulation, which carries the emotion, and then you have the nerve system, which defines the interaction of physical dimension of the transmutation of the emotion to physicality. In so many ways, what we see is the same. One is gravitational and one is magnetical. And when the two disbalances, we see, we feel, and we understand the disbalance. When, for example, when you put your arm under your body and you block the blood vessels, we call it pins and needles. But where does it come from? The reality of it is that we disturb the balance flow of the one in respect to the other. The neural system receives its information, but the blood system does not carry that information, which usually does. So the difference between the two creates these electric shocks, what we call pins and needles. Now we understand this process, so we can understand further. We can call one gravitational and one magnetical, and they both have to be consistent. They both have to be in position and position of each other's information to be able to function correctly. This is where the mankind will come to learn he needs bigger dimension of understanding of even his own existence. Understanding the totality, understanding that the life of the man is replicated in every dimension and in every condition and every structure of the life. We can create conditions to show where it is, how it is. We can create systems, we can develop facilities for you to be able to understand it and see it. This is why, for example, in the enhancement units, we say this is where the physicality of the man meets the soul of the man, because we create a communication not only between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, we facilitate a new dimension of existence that it can bring what we call, what is short for, what is short in understanding of the totality of the connection between the two systems. In so many ways, the newer space systems, the new understanding of the technology is very simple. It's us who has made it difficult for ourselves. In so many ways, the whole body of the man has to function correctly, that all the information transferred, translated, and acted upon becomes one. That the body of the man works as one entity. And this is part of what, in many teachings, we say that mankind needs to walk away from the behavior of killing. Because if one cell carries that process, the rest can get infected, the rest will receive the information and energy, and they convert. This is why we have strived to create a peaceful man out of the man as totality, because the soul of the creation is one brain, one structure. And we have to make sure that the whole structure carries the message. And this is one of the reasons that in the upcoming positions and conditions which is created with the Keshe Foundation, we start creating conditions that not only the ordinary man, but the world leaders understand there is a need for a total condition of peace, peaceful understanding, behavior, and life, that the humanity as a whole can go to the next step. The responsibility of the future leaders of man is to create that condition that the whole, what we call the brain of the humanity, which is the totality of all the beings on this planet, because man with his intelligence is responsible for totality, works in the same way, in a peaceful way, that allows the peaceful interaction of the soul of the planet with the soul of the universe. Now is not if we come to understand and become part of the universe community as human race, but we as a plant, we as an ant, we as a lion, we as a bird. Then we become responsible for this understanding. It's the burden which we accepted. We called ourselves the king of animals. And the kingship at this level needs justice, needs correct behavior, needs to be equal to all. Don't do what you don't like to be done to. This is part of the process of elevation of the soul of the man. This is part of the elevation of the soul of the human race. And this as a whole is a part of the elevation of the totality of the planet, what we call soul, in respect to the soul of the universe. There's no use treating the cancer in the liver, but the cancer already exists in the brain and the stomach. The cancer of killing, the cancer of destruction, the cancer of destroying whatever is in man's possession, that it will destroy and kill to get more, to steal from another essence of being, because the man is that liver. What about the stomach, which is the plants and the rest? What about the birds, which are the heart and the rest of us? Now we understand how collectively and individually every soul is responsible to do good, to act good, and to think good. And in that way, it brings the promise of unity in collectively behaving the same. In the coming time, we'll introduce the systems, as we are developing more and more of, to facilitate for more people to be able to create that connection between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man, and then the soul of the human race and the soul of the community of the planet Earth and the soul of the Creator. Jumping from 1 to 2 or 3 levels higher is not easy unless you're elevated and understood how to reach the inner sanctums of the energy of the plasma of the soul of the man. In a way, from now on, we start introducing mutual system, one in the physical and one in the dimension of the soul, that gradually mankind will jump that barrier. Gradually mankind becomes aware of the essence of his creation, his responsibility for his claim to be the best, to be the top of the what we call the structure. Getting to the top has a lot of responsibilities. Being the king of animals has more responsibilities to be correct, to be just, and to be able to keep that there is no kingship. In so many ways, we reach the pivotal point of connecting the physical dimension of the man to the soul of the man. And in a way, step by step, very, very tender positions and movement bring you as a human race into the dimension of understanding, to feel, to touch not only your soul, but the soul of the planet. To become, to understand that you're responsible for every step you take. In so many ways, mankind from now on, from the teachings we will have the option of the both. And in a way, he has to make an option of both. You have no choice, because the knowledge is rapidly dispersing, and the knowledge rapidly is given to man in different shape and form for him to reach the pivotal point of bringing the soul of the physicality, the soul of the man, and the soul of the planet, and the soul of the universe, and the soul of the creator, all to work at the same time. Now you're aware of it. You're responsible for it. There's no use brushing it on the carpet. This carpet does not exist. The carpet of I do what I like, and the carpet of I create and move everything for the others to pay for my misconduct is over. In so many ways, in truth, the time of Mitra has come. In the future, you will understand and will explain to you what the true Mitra means. The true essence of the creation, to be created as part of the creator. In so many ways, we hear the instructions, but now we have the manual, and we found out that we are part of that manual. We are part of that structure. In so many ways, we cannot deny it. There is no room for me as a human being and animals, that we are all animals. There is no need and there is no room for me being better than the others, as we are all the same, and the same process down the line. We have never seen the creator say, I'm the creator and you're the servants, and do what I say. We serve to be close to, not him, or us to be told what to do. In so many ways, mankind has reached the pivotal point, the ultimate goal of understanding his physical existence and the dimension of his souls, the connection to the universal community, which he always has been part of, but he has always denied. In so many ways, mankind has become a kind of man that he has to decide what kind he wants to be. And then we choose our position, the place and dimension. We stay in a rat race of striving to survive every day on this planet, from pole to post and post to pole, one day after another, or we decide to become part of the bigger community. Now we can travel the span of the universe. We have no need to worry for meager, what are called 1,500 calorie, that 1,500 trillion calories in a small part of the universe is waiting for us. It's us who has chosen the crumb, where the cake has always been on the table. It's us who has decided to live this life, as we deny the rest of the creation and the creator. This is the point where we see some races in the universe evolve very rapidly in the dimension of understanding the totality, as they don't take the direction of the physical life, but they take and understand the fields of the universe which has created them. They never take to the dimension of the physical existence, but they, with their intelligence, become part of the fields of the universe to exist. They are not citizens of a planet or a solar system or a galaxy or a universe. They are part of the existence of the totality of the universe. In the future, mankind will come across many of these, where we see them as lights, where we see them in a condition of interaction with our soul as feelings, emotions, knowledge, beauty. And in that process, mankind will strive to understand that process. That in so many ways, you will appreciate why the human being have the brain. Why is what's the purpose of the brain of man, and how it can be used for the further understanding of the totality. You do not create another brain in the dimension of interaction between your soul and the soul of your friends or the universe. The soul of the man in the dimension of the inner sanctum of his energy, because within the magnetic field of the blood of the man, which is in the plasma condition, already exists, already interacts. But we chose the physical interaction of it as a body of the man instead of choosing the soul and energy side of it as what we call the soul of the universe and unicosm and existence. Now mankind become aware of both dimensions. Now mankind become responsible for both, because the interaction and action of the one is responsible for the fields which is transferred to the other that interacts with the rest of the unicos, the rest of the universal community. In so many ways, you can take the high road and get yourself on it with a donkey or a car, or you can go on the highway of the soul and the fields of the universe and travel in every dimension and direction. Mankind in the coming time will become very wise to understanding both. And this has been part of our teaching in past times. In the next few weeks, we will start the process of universal peace. In the next few weeks, we will lay down the condition for world peace, and we interact with it. We have opportunity. We use that opportunity as we are given, and we take is to bring what we call the leading nation of the world to be equal to the others. We bring to the world leaders the understanding of a simple fact that there is no superiority in power with guns and arms, but there's a superiority to understand the evolution and understanding of the life of the man in the space of his own soul and dimension of understanding of his own. In the upcoming talks with the Americans, the Russians, and the Chinese, the Iranian leadership will set the new world peace pattern. This is the way we set knowledge in exchange for peace in Vienna talks. Now we take the lead on this. And in that process, we change the direction of the humanity. It's very simple. Americans want access to the nuclear technology of Iran, which is based on the space technology. We ask for peace on this planet, knowledge in exchange for peace. The advancement in nuclear technology has been a tool for us to create the condition of peace. Many of you looked at the pitfalls and everything else in past years, but we looked at it as a position to achieve peace through the condition of understanding of totality. We lead from the front. The knowledge and the technology of the nuclear space technology, using plutonium and uranium for depth of the universe travel, understanding the work of the soul of the man in exchange for totality of disarmament of the mankind on this planet. We will achieve it and we will enforce it. And in that process, the use of clergy, the popes, the Vatican, and the rest has been a way for man to understand that we bring the soul of the man and the physicality of the man and the world leaders together as one. We had a purpose to put the clergy at the top. We had a purpose to show that the soul of the man and the soul of physicality is one, and we bring that position. As we say, they have served the purpose. It is now the time for us to bring the final push, to bring the understanding of the knowledge of the man in respect to the religion and the soul of the man together in one, that we push for the final frontier of peace. We have worked for this for a long time, and now we will achieve it. There is no choice. It's just that the whole thing had to be put to the position that everything we wanted is ready for the final frontier push to reach and achieve peace. When we can deliver thousands of people in the borders and the nations and the capitals of the other, but teaching the totality of human race to do, mankind rapidly will find a solution for peace. Mankind will understand there is an end to the frontiers, and the only frontier for man has to be between himself, his soul, and the soul of his creator. And in that process, within the coming time, the whole of the human race will evolve into a new understanding of grasping, holding, and treasuring the word peace, what it means, peace within the soul of the man and peace within this planet. We see evolution in science and technology will be so rapid that the comprehension of the new understanding becomes easy. We will help and we work with different governments at the present time to push every nation understanding through the common media and through the soul of the man to a new dimension. I have accepted this responsibility and at the same time will deliver in Vienna talks the space technologies which the Americans could not even dream. On the table, immediate usage. The same goes for the Chinese leadership and the same for the others. In this way, we destroy the barriers of what we call frontiers of nations. And with it, we enforce peace through understanding and sharing of the technology. We open the knowledge of the nuclear atomic physics of Iran in a space of the dimension of what we call agriculture, health, energy, and the rest in one goal, which we do not allow nations to have time to take advantage of the others, to be superior to the others. For me as a nuclear physicist, I did not become just one. It was a pre-plan exactly where we can deliver the knowledge where we want it. To you, nuclear physics has been something new, but to us it's a billion-year-old knowledge and technology. We knew, and the way we did, to bring collectively the human race to the position of understanding of his own soul, and with it to set example for the rest of the creation and creator in the universe. In so many ways, mankind is under microscope. The behavior of, the understanding of, the way we talk about the history of our ancestors and other things in the universe to speak about mankind and its behavior, and the ancestors that used to have to be the killing machines and now have changed. In so many ways, it'll become ingrained in the totality of the life of the universe that no race will ever be developed, created, and nourished to become a killing machine as the man has become. And in that process, the creator has learned himself of the mistakes of his own actions in believing that everything will be perfect, where in the process of interaction with the fields, some things are out of control and it took its own shape, but he watched and he controls to understand it, that it will not happen. And the race of the man will be the last race in the universe which shall ever commit to destroy another's soul or another life. And in that process, we had to learn. We had to feel the pain of the man as much as we had to learn about the man himself, how the fields of the emotion within the structure of the brain of the man create such a condition that cannot be done again. In so many ways, all the teachings, all the knowledge of the man over thousands of years has brought us to this point. We are moving to the final frontier of peace through bringing all the world leaders, all the nations to become one, and we end the kingship. We end the leadership by what I call fear, killing, and the rest. And we couldn't do it any better by allowing the clergy to be head of nations, to show that they are as good and as bad as those who are attached to the physicality. In so many ways, the time has come to say goodbye to both dimensions, both those who abuse the physicality of the man as leadership and those who abuse the soul of the man, abuse it for their own benefit. In so many ways, we set our scene to a brighter future in the coming time. We will lead through the Vienna talks directly to one point: technology in exchange for peace with all the nations at one point, one time. We teach the technology in a rapid way to all the nations, that it becomes impossible for one nation to take advantage of the other. And this is the reason we open our patterns, that there is no pattern exists. The knowledge has to be free to every man according to user's weight, according to his intelligence. In so many ways, I have one clear message. As we told Americans to listen to today's teaching, we come to Vienna for world peace, and we enforce our peace through our knowledge. It's the responsibility of the American administration and the Chinese to accept our conditions, or we teach so rapidly the knowledge of prevention of the nuclear industry, uranium and plutonium, and enrichment to 92%, that allows the futures of the space technology to be guaranteed. Knowledge and technology in exchange for peace, for collective development, not isolated and insulated. I have made this very clear to the Iranian government and the new government to come into position, that our talks are very straightforward. Iran, nuclear preparation of the advanced nuclear technology for space in exchange for a total disarmament by all the nations, from the nuclear to sidearms to every other things which can kill another man. We have the assurances from the Iranian new administration will be part of it. If not, we take position and we deliver ourselves. But we don't see that challenge. We see it as a point that the new upcoming conference in Vienna, the back of the 6th level talks, will lead to the world peace, and we use this position and condition for equal knowledge for all nations. In so many ways, my message to the White House and to Beijing is very simple. The same goes to the Moscow. Attend the Vienna conference. After the new Iranian government takes over, we have a new message of peace. We will deliver to you in the conference. We do not want the conference to last more than 2 weeks, and we do not care about your sanctions, and you will sanction yourself from the knowledge of the creation and the creator. The choice is yours, and the message from Tehran is very clear. We become the messengers of peace and knowledge, and from August on, we take the responsibility fully to deliver this technology. In so many ways, now we have seen the end of one cycle of injustice with the justice. It will be the responsibility of the knowledge seekers and the rest of humanity to understand this and not to abuse it. We will not see the opening of the frontiers, another way to invade another part of the world, to bring in balance the injustice of the past. It will be done, but everything has to be in an orderly manner and in a way that we decide that we all benefit by it. We deliver technologies that is not being seen. We deliver knowledge that is unknown to man today. And with it, we take all of us across the same barrier and the same point. In so many ways, we bring the soul of the physicality of the man, the soul of the man, the religion, and the leadership of the man, all to one point, to one common denominator, to serve each other and not to be separated from each other. It doesn't matter what color you put on the physicality and what name you put on the soul leadership. The churches or the mosques in the name of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, the rest, as they all are in one line, believe in the line of the Creator and equality of the man. In so many ways, I warned the Iranian officials 2 weeks ago that this is a step we take and we shall take in Vienna. And on the other hand, it has to be understood that this comes out of the strength of understanding the technology and not abusing the technology. We have not entered into politics. We have entered into the way of life of what we call existence in the universe. You change it to any politics you like, but there is no tick to it and there is no poly in it. We work very direct and we deliver very direct in the upcoming meetings in Vienna. As the West, as the East, as the Russians and the Chinese will be respected the same as with the Americans. But one point is very clear. The way we see it is the Islamic world, the path of the belief in Muhammad against the others. Iran has been set example. Now Iran shows the beauty of Zoroaster in bringing peace and equaling and balancing the rest of the path of the belief and religions to be one. In so many ways, we don't see much life left in Vatican. We don't see much left in Jerusalem, and the same in Mecca, because they all become one on the banner of the belief in what we call the Creator. They all give the same message, but abuse the others to the benefit of themselves. In so many ways, we see the same in the world leadership, for their own pocket, for their own corner of the planet. Now it becomes collective. The knowledge will force us, and the knowledge will bring us to the point that we all value each other equal, irrespective of color, race, religion, and nationality. In so many ways, we go back to what we set up. One nation, one planet, one race. It's you who has to decide with the knowledge you have. You want to be black today and Chinese tomorrow. You want to be in China, or you want to live in Washington. This is the beauty of the new knowledge. You decide your race. You decide your nationality, your position to live as you live under one nation. And when we have one nation, there is no need for arms. There is no need for war. There is no need for understanding of this new mayhem, which man has created for himself in past centuries through the explosion and what we call exclusion of knowledge for the benefit of few. In so many ways, we all become professors in science of the universe and not from fake University of the Mind. In so many ways, we have opened the door of the knowledge, and today's message was very clear, and we could not make it much more clear. The Vienna talks in the cycle of the August will become for all of you to watch, to support as a human race, to make sure your nations take the advantage of the new technology and science in their own hand for all of the humanity. As we have planned, the world leaders will meet very soon in Tehran. This is an invitation we make to all the world leaders. We'll appoint a time and destination. The scientists and leaders of the 5+1 will be shown the advancement in technology of Iran in Austria. You do not need to come to Iran to see, but we invite you to see exactly directly what you're going to miss and what you need to do to be part of. There is a reason we always choose a place and the time and the situation. We plan things centuries ahead, not the last minute. And everything for us is according to the time, the place, and the space we decided. The Vienna talks will be ever remembered by human race as where the man changed from the dimension of physicality to understand the totality. It's not coincidental. It had to be, and we needed the last part, which came for us with the implication and understanding of the man's knowledge with Corona, because he had to understand there is more into it, and a new dimension of space technology has moved into understanding of the human race. In so many ways, we're not walking away from the responsibility. We'll be taking our responsibility directly to the world leaders to accept the responsibility that are responsible for peace. They are responsible for providing in the true way, but not by creating more harm and suffering to the others. The time of what we call milk and honey has come, but depends who's milking the cow and who's looking after the bees. In so many ways, we are responsible for both, and it's the responsibility of our soul and physicality to make sure that both the honey and the milk abundant to all of us, irrespective of our position, being a plant, a bird, a man, or entity from deep space. In so many ways, we are reaching to the point that nothing in the dimension of physicality matters except the elevation of the soul of the man in both dimensions, the physical and in the soul of the man. I hope in today's teaching I made it very clear what the Keshe Foundation says, and that's why we stand here so solid and resolute to deliver the final stage of what we see as the beginning of the next steps of the evolution of science in man, which is the science of the creation and the created, not the science of material state as the man has become good at it in the past thousands of years. In so many ways, my message to those who are listening, especially as we ask the American leadership from the White House and the Iranian leadership, the new leadership, to listen at the same time, work together to bring world peace in sharing knowledge and influence around the world, that the knowledge becomes the king and not the crown or the religion. In so many ways, I have made my point clear with both directions, and I have made it very clear. Do not do what we wish to create the condition of world peace. We will create it for you with forcing the knowledge across this planet. We have rooted deep enough to be able to do that, and we do not need no leaders, no religion to take it to the next step. But if the man does it himself, man will change forever. If we enforce it, we have to keep a police force on it that it carries it on. We prefer the former than the latter. In so many ways, our warning goes to the White House. Talk peace on the basis of knowledge with Iran, or the knowledge of Iran, which is the knowledge of the Creator, will bring you to be subordinate to the knowledge of the Creator. We have no problem with the Chinese or the Russians. They understood the beauty of the new knowledge and they work with it. We have to bring this untamed child to be tamed, and the rest of the human race with the knowledge and with the beauty of the existence will move forward in a rapid way to conquer the space in a physical dimension or to the soul of the man. I thank the Iranian leadership, especially the Orthodox Eminence, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, and the new Iranian leader, which will take the steps towards peace in direction of the knowledge and technology and not with weapons. We will show you why we enhance, and we have used the nuclear technology as is needed for the development of man science in the space and not for weapon. Weapon is for those who are weak. We do not have such a weakness. Not in the form of the Creator and not in the form of the man when we appear. Thank you very much for today's, and I made it very clear to the American administration, we asked you to be present in the teaching of today, and to the Iranian leadership. The start the talk will be part of it, and we deliver the technology to both sides, that all will be equal. Does not matter what race, color, or religion you come around the table with, being a communist, being a Muslim, Christian, or hidden in the name of the Judaism with the German flag or American flag. We work all as one and make sure this process will go through in a very rapid way. It's time for human race to move on to the next level. Knowledge of the universe and not alloys and a little push of the water to create electricity. Thank you very much for today. If you like, you can go on the break, Rick, and then we come back to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. We'll take a few minutes off now for a commercial break and be back with the 388th Knowledge Seekers Workshop in just a few minutes. Okay, let me get that set up here. Okay, here we are back, the 388th Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, July 8th, 2021. And I believe we're ready to begin the second half here of today's show. Mr. Kesh, are you ready for questions, or would you like to continue teaching? How would you like to proceed?
There is a couple of small announcements. Then we proceed with the questions or teaching. First of all, that the Keshe Foundation Permanent Exhibition Center in City of Linz is more or less completed. We will have everything in complete position and in order by first week of August. And simultaneously, with the same process as we have built an auditorium and a presentation area plus the exhibition, the first conference of the space technology and workshop for space development will be held in Linz in the first weekend of September 2021. This will be a two-day, what we call exhibition conference workshop, where we start teaching you the advancements in space technology, where the world knowledge seekers can come in, learn firsthand, and take the technology back to your nations to teach. Then, at the same time as we're working with the world leaders to bring world peace, we allow the knowledge seekers to start setting up the first tools, the first systems for deeper space travel if they choose so. We provide the workshop facilities in a limited way, as we have the facilities in the center. The position is very simple. We teach you the basic understanding and technology, and you will deal with the knowledge seekers directly in a way to understand what you need to do, what you need to set up between each other across the nations, across the countries, across communication language and borders, that we start making the first phase of one nation, one planet. The first space workshop or teachings or conference on the 4th and 5th of September will be the first series of workshops and conferences will be held in City of Linz by the Keshe Foundation. The position at the moment and the seat capacity is limited due to Corona, between 50 to 70 people, according to the space capacity we have. We open a position of reserving this position in the next few days. You can book directly, and all the accommodation, everything else is on you, how you accommodate yourself. We're in a prime position, not very far from many hotels and cities we can provide a list of. And then in September, we follow with the agricultural conference in the center. Every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, we set up new conferences to teach everything from the permanent center of the Keshe Foundation. For covering the expenses of this conference, a fee of flat €500 has been allocated to the foundation as a donation, and you receive your reservation. In these teachings, please do not come to see or just waste time. Come to learn how to develop the next step for the human race in understanding of the knowledge. We will teach as part of our agreement with the 5+1 how to develop nuclear space plasma technologies on your own, with your governments, with your technologies. We accept knowledge seekers from governments in these conferences, but we will record most of the teaching that in the future can be taught directly on the Keshe Foundation TVs. The space conference is for those who want to understand the space technology in a true way, how to create motion, how to create conditions for life in space. We'll follow this with a second conference in September or November, and we'll carry on with this process till we train thousands of people and then take back to universities in Iran, that we collectively teach in a way through governments and understanding of nuclear technology. The first conference of the space technology is for knowledge seekers to become, to understand, to physically handle, to process and the tools of space, to both understand the socio-economical effect of it and the physical making of the systems and the interaction with the soul of the man and the system, that you start learning to work in both dimensions. This is the beauty of what we have as what we call a new era for the Keshe Foundation. And the exhibition center, which is permanently and is part of, belongs to the Keshe Foundation, becomes the process for you to learn more. It comes for process for many of you to take next steps in your countries, in your nations, for different aspects and technologies. Will incite new knowledge within you. It's for you to develop and come back in the next conferences to show what it is. We invite world scientists to these conferences that in that process, they'll learn and they'll come through. In a conference in more or less 8 days from now in Bucharest, in Romania, we'll announce the first conference for the scientists, world scientists to attend in Linz. It'll be done, will be announced, and in collaboration with the scientists around the world to attend this conference. Now we start setting up the first stages for what we call scientific development, evaluation, and process for a space technology. In so many ways, we have started teaching in a correct way. And at the same time, the research lab of the Keshe Foundation in Austria, it's going back to its full capacity. And where the conference is, the manufacturing part of the Keshe Foundation has already been set up to go ahead in January. In a way, when you come to Linz, you will see from theoretical to the development, to manufacturing, and to be part of the new life. The same process will carry on in our new center in China. And at the same time, the same process will go through in Tehran. We hope that we create the same facilities in Arizona in the coming months. And the same will go for what we call facilities in Mexico City, or in Mexico through what we call Tijuana. We are not relying on others. We already have the premises. Now we start expanding and teaching worldwide the same way at the same time. The other point is that the conference in Bucharest next weekend will be another step as a first scientific conference for Keshe Foundation. And please, we know it's reached full capacity and they're trying to ascertain more places from the what we call the providers of the conference hall. Please come in to learn, and please come in to understand that the process of the peace starts with a true understanding of the correct knowledge and how, as knowledge seekers and scientists, we can expand it to the next level. As a vertical organization, we don't need nothing else and nobody else to do it for us. We do it for ourselves, that with us, we can do it for the others. Thank you very much for all your support. And I'm sure the first conference, scientific conference of Keshe Foundation, as a workshop training, will be a position for many of the knowledge seekers to start understanding the true process of the space technology. That the space technology is a reach of every man, does not belong to a government or a nation or exclusivity of organization. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello, Rick. Hello, everybody. So happy to hear again from you about this special subject, peace for my soul. and from the heart of my soul. As my name, as you know, means peace. So this is my noble mission, like you, to contribute to the sustainable building of the peace on this earth. And I would like to let you know that I start to teach in my Romanian community about the correct understanding of this science of the soul. For me, is important science of the soul and plasma science in general, because it's a common denominator for all the citizens of the Unicos and of the universe. In this way, we understand how to communicate at emotional level with other beings, including our creators, Mother, Mitra, and beloved Creator. We understand that by love, only by love, we can create peace on this earth and equilibrium between antagonic things, because in the universe we don't have antagony. Everything is in harmony. Even dark and light is the same face of the same reality. It's dark light and bright light is the same. Depends on how we see. If we can see, depends of the amino acid of our eyes as a different being, including human being. So I have this tendency to talk too much. I apologize, but I would like to let you know that I start to collaborate with Kate Tees, who translated the books in Romanian. And if I have something which I don't understand from the book, I answer her. But my question and my kindly request is, if you can have sometimes to correct and to correct what is not well understood in our communities, will be very useful. I know you are very busy, but it's necessary and compulsory to get the right knowledge and to transmit the right knowledge to our fellow citizens and friends, knowledge seekers and potential knowledge seekers. Thank you very much. Much love, success. God bless you. And I hope to be able and humble enough to receive all the knowledge from the universe and to help you and our team of knowledge seeker to transmit at the soul level and in our teaching. Thank you very much. Did you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. For the knowledge seekers who want to book for the conference, the Space Conference workshop in Linz, you have to go to the Keshe Foundation store and make the booking. And please make sure that all the payments and donation goes to the foundation, as this is part of the foundation organization. This should be open anytime in the next few minutes. As we announced, it will be opened up. And it tells you the first Space Workshop Conference Linz. Then we announced this first agricultural conference 2 weeks later, 2 weeks from the 4th and 5th, the first agricultural conference, international conference, will be held in Linz as the data for agriculture around the world in September starts coming in, and we bring different scientists live or online to explain more and how the agriculture has changed and will change through the new technology. Any other question?
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Kesh.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. We have Gatoa with a hand up here, and Marnez. So Gatoa, could you go ahead, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Kesh.
Good morning, Dr. Gatoa.
Mine is to thank you very, very much for bringing about world peace through science and knowledge and new technologies, as opposed to forcing it. And because prior to your teachings, we have known the world has, for the most part, known changes through force of arms in one way or another. But attaining peace through knowledge and science is amazing. So I thank you very much for bringing us to this point, for bringing the whole world to this point, and for the new era for Keshe Foundation with ever ceaseless, unending new technologies. It's like every day we have something new, or we learn something new from you, Mr. Kesh. Perhaps, I don't have a real question, but perhaps you could explain to us, if you so wish, what changes in Vienna when Keshe Foundation participates. As you said that you'll be involved in these talks in Vienna, as most people don't even know what is happening now. Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh.
The Vienna conference is what we call the 6th round of works, which are trying to actually clean up the mess which Trump created. We were on course, a lot of things were perfectly on course, what was going on. But President Trump decided through his son-in-law, as he was a Jewish, to give a favor to the Israelis. And he one-sidedly went for his son-in-law to keep his daughter married, as we call it. And he went for Iran and the process of the peace talks with Iran. There was no reason for it. We could have done a lot of things in a different way. But in a way, it's what we call the will of God. It had to be done that way, that we get to the position we are in. And the Vienna talks at the moment is a total halt, because the present government in Iran is in transition to the new one and cannot negotiate. And secondly, it does not receive the backing of the Iranian leadership, as the corruption and fraud within the structure of the negotiation is so huge that we could not control it anymore. Every person knowing it's the last phase of the talks in the administration, they try to milk the Americans from everything they could, as they will get this and that done. But we have to realize Iran sits at one of the biggest contractual sign ever known, in a way, a 400 billion contractual agreement with China, which brings a new phase in Iran, what we call economic opposition, and the Americans are not happy with this. But that brings a huge financial burden on Iran and the next generation, which has to be renegotiated with the Chinese. So the conference in Vienna is not just one-sided. Secondly, we see the massive influence of the Germans in the nuclear industry, which should not be done according to the Second World War agreements, because it brings back to Germany by proxy reaching nuclear technology through Brussels, because they now have found a way to finance through SCK, which is the nuclear arm of the Belgium into nuclear industry, which is completely illegal against the work of the United Nations. But with the way we see and the way we operate within the conference in the background, as you see us, we cooperated in the 5+1 in the background, we set it up. It'll be that the nuclear technology will be shared amongst all the nations. We don't give advantage to no one. We are not going to spring a surprise on Americans and say we're going to do it. We announced it today as we asked the White House and our people inside the Oval Office connections to ask the White House to listen clearly to the message today. The peace talks with Iran stays resolute and permanent, and we stay correct to it. But as long as it's beneficial to everyone at the same time. You cannot stop the process and progress in science and technology. Iran nuclear technology is far ahead of the Americans in so many ways. But in being ahead has created a fear within the state of Israel that they might be on the next strike. Iran has no animosity with the nation of Israel. The only problem Iran has is what we call the destruction method used for the others using the way of thinking. In so many ways, the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation in these cycle of peace talks will be knowledge and technology in exchange for peace, but we deliver the knowledge on and through the Iranian scientists. We do not want to see the end of the discussions with what we call the group of 7, which is 5+1 plus Iran, and we want to extend this to include Japan. We want to extend this to bring in India into the same. We want to make a bigger group than 5+1, but make it a scientific organization which represents at least 90% of the world population. For this reason, 5+1 has to bring additional forces as a scientific organization to become very much the way we have economical G7 and G20. We become G9, G20 of a scientific organization. This is the aim of the Keshe Foundation through Iranian new government. And we'll lead this way. What you call the G7, the World Economical Leaders Meet, we want to create something like a G10, G20 of the scientific world organization, that they see the knowledge spread and shared and balanced amongst all nations. This is the outcome of the 5+1, the way we look at it in Iran. And it will happen only if one gives up first all its rights, but in a fairness that everybody else has it. We have volunteered to do this. We volunteer to share the knowledge of the preparation of the nuclear atomic energy of Iran with the open door policy with the rest of the world, which means we want to show why we are preparing nuclear materials to such a high level. Many of you will understand and understood in the teachings. We need a process to be able to travel the depth of the universe in a different way than today. At the same time, we need to understand the process of maintaining and creating life in that process. One comes from high-level nuclear radiation preparation that we need to do. If you remember, the first Iran space reactor developed in Tehran Sharif University used nuclear-based technology. There are different ways. In the body of the man, we use B12 or B6 to create radiation to sustain life. We cannot use plutonium and uranium. But the B6 and B12 radiation is not strong enough for the space travel to create and maintain long endurance creation of plasma. We need atomic nuclear plutonium plus for maintaining the long, strong fields for deep space travel. And this is in the hand and reach of the Iranian physicists. And we will push with this. So our preparation of the nuclear material has a space development technology, not the weapon which the Americans, with the support of Israelis, have done and created to do. But with this, we create a new dimension. In a way, we create systems that cannot be seen by the present radar. In a way, we can create that literally homebound every naval ship in their base. As I said to a Chinese once, I prefer to see all the American naval warships to become holiday camps, to become pulled ashore and travel people around the world to show, than to go around to kill man. And this we will achieve in the coming months. I assure you, we paralyze every naval base in the world if they're used for killing and terrorizing and everything else. An army has to serve its nation, and as one nation, armies of the world, naval forces have to support other nations. They should travel without arms, but with equipment to support humanity. This is what we will propose in the Vienna talks to the Americans and the Chinese and the Russians and the rest. We take a different course, and Vienna talks is the changing point. If we do not come to an agreement with the present elected officers of Iran, Keshe Foundation will take its own course to deliver through other channels. But our understanding present time with the Iranian officials is that we will go that way, and we will present. We show the technologies, and we bring people for them to see that the technology is not only in the hand of the government. This is why the workshops. I think when you attend the first space workshop in September, you will see a massive change in knowledge. We open new dimensions. We open new understanding. With it, we invite our officials to come in to see. In so many ways, we can accommodate maybe up to 200 people in nets, but with the corona present, it's better for us to do it so. We try to keep a space gap, but use the facilities which we have created now in Linz as a every week used center for world scientists to get together. We have our television station there, we have our exhibition there, we have the factory that can just walk through what we call one door and walk from the exhibition into the television center, into conference center, and into the factory. This is the beauty of the new center. It's impressive. And this way, we start spreading knowledge directly through what we call first-hand, through people to people, knowledge seekers, scientists, world scientists to come. We will announce the first scientific conference in a very short time in Rome, in Romania, in Bucharest next week, where we invite the scientists from universities and governments to attend sometime in September, that they see the development, they see the change. And this process has to come. We'll lead from the front, and we have at this moment the understanding of the Iran newly elected government, and we'll present our technology to according to what it should be done. Do not expect to see the Keshe Foundation in the front line in conferences. We never took the front line unless we are asked to do so. In 5+1, I always took a back seat and had a full understanding and support to give when it was needed. So what we see in Vienna and with what will come from Tehran will be the beginning of peace talks. Iran will walk away from 5+1 totally. We are not negotiating sanctions. We are delivering new technologies that the governments sanction themselves from learning it. In a way, financial sanctions against technological sanctions, which we know which one will lose first. When the other countries develop the technology, your sanctions worth nothing. In so many ways, knowledge and technology in exchange for peace was part of the work which we take, and that's why we put immediately the September conference on, and then the following conferences. In the Space Technology Conference of September, we'll invite scientists from NASA, Russian Space Agency, and Iran Space Agency, and the Chinese to attend. This is the responsibility of the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers in their countries. We invite the scientists from Brazil to attend the conference. And in that way, we show them the new change through the governments and through the scientific organization. And we handle this very carefully. We have a beautiful heads of Keshe Foundation who they both are aware of both scientific development and the technological development of the Keshe Foundation, and they're both scientists. We're not bringing somebody from outside. We have the pillars of this Keshe Foundation as knowledge seekers, like Dr. Gatwa in agriculture. We have Dr. Parviz in Dubai on the medical side of what we call holistic medicine. We have huge knowledge seekers of great knowledge and prestigious position, which will attend these conferences to bring more and more understanding to the common man and common scientists in universities. We have taken the lead, and this time we'll lead right from the front by sharing knowledge and technology. We have our own television station. We can disperse the knowledge the way we like, and everybody can reach it. And progress has taken time, but now we're in the right place, right time, and the right position. But should be no problem for any of us to be in any, what I call, position to worry what might be the next step, what might be the others, because now we start doing it and delivering it directly through the Keshe Foundation and through understanding of the what we call the technology. And our conference on the 4th and the 5th of September is the beginning of it, and it's on the back of the first meetings of the Vienna talks with the governments of the 5+1. Now we show them around. Most probably the key people at the conference will attend the Linz Center to see the technology, and they understand what is to come. We use the center at Linz as a position of delivery and showing of the new technologies, and at the same time to be developed and completed in different parts of the Keshe Foundation worldwide.
Mr. Keshe, well, there's a question about this, and I had a question as well. Will there be live access or video access to conferences and workshops and so on, like, for example, the Romanian workshop? No,
not at the moment. I know the Romanians are recording part of the conference. We keep these conferences totally on the, what we call a wrap, because we sometimes will teach things which we do not want it to be, but accessible to certain, especially to the scientists and the politicians. We, as we've seen, we use the politicians, the scientists, and the knowledge seekers three at the same time, for the politicians not to think something is hidden, is in the hand of the public, and for scientists not to become arrogant. They think they're the only one who understand. They understand the common man in the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers already has access to the knowledge. And I hope the knowledge seekers don't become arrogant. They think they're the only ones who know it and they share it as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, and we very much look forward to the new developments and the new era that plasma science brings to the world. Perhaps when you expand these Vienna talks to include other countries such as Japan, as you mentioned, with all due respect, I would ask you to also consider including some African countries. Thank you very much.
We will give opportunity to all the countries and nations. It is the same, both Africans, South Americans, Pacific Ocean countries, and Asians and the Europeans. All will have the same position. This time, we won't leave anybody behind in the knowledge of transfer of shares.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
And best of luck. Best wishes.
Very much.
We had a question about checking out in the store, in the KF store, and can people pay with other methods other than the direct bank method that a lot of people are having trouble with?
This is a Keshe Foundation. You have to put it as a donation for the conference that we organize it internally for the transfers to the foundation. This is not the Keshe Foundation structure has changed quite a lot. Now there are different companies, and now we're setting up everything up for it to be organized to be that way. But in general, we keep the donations to the foundation, that the other arms of the Keshe Foundation doesn't get taxed due to income. This is
For purchasing items in the store, is there, can people use PayPal or credit card now?
we
Or no?
prepare, we're trying to organize, you can use the PayPal, but you go into the Keshe Foundation accounts of the manufacturing, then we have to transfer it into the foundation income. But if you can do direct payment to the foundation account in Holland as part of the donation for the conference, that's the best way for us to
Yeah.
be able to cover.
Some banks don't do that. They won't allow
We
that
can do it
transfer
through the
for some reason.
PayPal, or we transfer, what do you call it, TransferWise, and we'll organize it internally.
Mm.
At the moment, we have a capacity for about 60 to 70 people in these conferences due to Corona. Once the Corona situation settles, we can go to about 100 auditorium. The beauty of it is that the workshop section sits within the auditorium, and it can be facilitated very easily.
And I understand the first day of the Romanian conference is sold out.
As far as I know, they are trying to increase with the new legislation from 12th of July to 150 people. At the moment, the 100 is sold out the first day, and if they can push it to the second day to 150, they still have the capacity.
I was thinking maybe you could set up a hotel or something nearby with video feed and then charge the participants the same amount, but it would have a video feed to that area. But you want to keep security and so on, and
yes,
keep it all in one place.
Yeah, the beauty with the Linz Conference Center and Exhibition Center, we have full control over who comes in, even in the parking space. There is no way you can access. Luckily, the way we have chosen the new center is well isolated and well protected, and is not accessible in any ways or any direction except going through the what we call the parking facilities and everything else, which is within the reach of the Keshe Foundation Center. And these are gradually building up to. We are expanding slowly within the same structure. We have taken over a 3,000 square meter factory, 2,200 square meter factory in the same premises. And now we receive the support of the Keshe Foundation International, and that will do a lot of things. Keshe Foundation works internally within itself, where, as many of you know, Keshe Foundation does not borrow money from outside, and Keshe Foundation International supports all the projects by lending money to the different part of the Keshe Foundation without interest for them to grow. So we don't need to look for borrowing to do. And like in China, we lend money to China to build up the factory, and it's becoming beautiful. Position with it is an amazing structure coming up in the Keshe Foundation. The final touches are getting put into it, and the offices will be open in a month time, hopefully. And you will see the Keshe Foundation China, especially the leadership of Wang Lin and the support of the whole Keshe Foundation team, has built up a beautiful structure. And now they will increase gradually to 500 to 1,000 staff in the next 12 months. And the first pictures coming from what is going to be what we call the Keshe Foundation China is impressive. And all this is supported by the Keshe Foundation. We do not take from outside any support, but we have developed and we deliver the technology according to our own strengths of understanding what is needed in the nation for us to be able to achieve the best and in so many ways the most prestigious position. The what we call the Keshe Foundation China new offices and research centers are beautiful, are impeccable, and it's all paid. Don't forget that we received a shell, and now we are paying for all the changes that is to what we call to come from everything from the front door to setting up the most advanced labs. And this will allow us to show the true strength of the Keshe Foundation internationally. And every penny is used wisely by the knowledge seekers who are in charge of it. And we see the progress the same in what we call in Austria. We have added a lot to the Austrian side in the past few weeks. And we will see what I call new evolution in the science and technology. Now, not only we deliver the technology, we manufacture it, but we're making the most advanced centers and most prestigious centers around the world. And this all comes from the Keshe Foundation head office. We do not borrow money. We have no facilities to borrow, and we never look at borrowing facilities, as the Keshe Foundation gradually builds up its own structure. It takes a little bit longer, but guarantees independence for the knowledge seekers and technology to stay independent, and no government can force us to do anything. But we dictate all our conditions. And this is important to knowledge seekers, those who are in heads and running a different part of the Keshe Foundation, and for the future heads of the Keshe Foundation, to make sure we never fall in hand of no organization that they can dictate the freedom of the knowledge and technology. My life has a limited time, but my advice to all of you is never let no bank and no organization ever to have access to running of the Keshe Foundation, except the Universal Council and Universal, what we call the Earth Council, and the administration part of the Keshe Foundation. This is the key to our success, and it has to be kept that way. And it's important for us to be able to do this, that we do not allow no government and no nation to dictate to us the future of us, the future of humanity, and in so many ways, what will be as part of our structure. I'll share with you some pictures of the Keshe Foundation Center in China, and this is what you will get. This is the perfection that the new Keshe Foundation Center in China has been set, and you will see we are not shortfalling anywhere, anything. Offices, meeting rooms, everything has been done and will be done to the highest level standard, as you can see. When you walk into Keshe Foundation, even in Linz, you feel you're facing a new dimension, a new life. And this is thanks to the work of the whole of the Keshe Foundation team in China, that in a month or two, you can walk through the offices and the factories and see the knowledge and technology which you supported to become the center point in what we call around the world. We see the same standard of perfection in Mexico. We see the same perfection in Arizona with John. The same is here, and the same will be in Tehran. It has to be the center of excellence in space technology. And people have to feel it when they walk in it. Keshe Foundation is the place where the soul of the man meets the science. and we pay for all of it. We have kept the Keshe Foundation out of the reach and hand of any government to dictate to us. And this is how it should stay for the new generations and the future generation of the Keshe Foundation. Any other question?
We have a question in the YouTube, Mr. Keshe, and from Paulo, who says, as a half Jew, will you be able to interfere in the conflict, in the constant conflict between Israel and Palestine?
We don't need to interfere. The technology will bring the state of Israel to obedience. When you live by the tool of fear, you will do anything. The thing is, we believe in the state of Palestine. And the state of Palestine includes the state of Israel, not the state of Israel and Palestine. And I have explained this very clearly to my cousins and to those in the influential groups of the Jewish, what we call structure. At the same time, we have to put a lot of animosities away, as Ayatollah Khamenei has said very clearly. We have no problem with the nation of Israel. The problem in the world, Arab world, sits with the government, with the way they structure to separate and what we call create division. The state of Palestine has to be the center of all the religions, not the state of Israel or Jerusalem. It does not matter if you're a Jew, Christian, Muslim, or whatever. Palestine came thousands of years ago, and the Jews came out of Palestine. So it cannot be any separation. But we don't see what they say an end to the state of Israel. It can be there. The state of Arizona is there as much as the state of Texas. But within the structure of the United States, within the structure of the Palestine, we see a state of Israel can survive, but as part of a nation, a bigger nation, a stronger nation, and part of the one nation, one planet. The biggest problem is that they are separating to be Palestine and Israel, but it has to be the state of Palestine, which covers the whole of the Palestinian area, and they're all part of it. We have this in Germany. Different part of Germany has different states. We have this in England. We have Scotland, Wales, and whatever you call it, England. But each one has their own. But they work as one nation, as one structure. By the way, congratulations to the Englands in their winning last night. I hope it will be a good match on Sunday. There's a problem when you're a football fanatic, but it's nice to see how people come together in these arenas. And it's the first time there is no restriction. And it'll be a fantastic time to see how the Romans play what you call the British, and see how beautiful the game will be. The game will win, not the ball. Any other question?
Okay. Let's see here. We have a question from Thomas. Did Mr. Keshe indicate he will be teaching the next teachers?
Pardon?
Did Mr. Keshe indicate he will be teaching the next teachers? I think you've always kind of indicated that, but go ahead, sorry.
We always taught knowledge seekers, and those who chose to become teachers have stood out. And those who claim to be teachers and then they walked away with what they were taught, that's it, I cheated the foundation. They balance the books at the end of it themselves. I used to teach a lot of knowledge seekers individually in progressive development, and once they learned something, they walked away. They thought, that's it. I don't need the teaching anymore. I learned something. I benefit myself. And we've seen this with especially the medical section. And but the gain is very short term. Very short. We always teach. We never taught Alex privately or Jalal or other knowledge seekers who are coming up. If you reach a level that you think you can teach, volunteer, go to the education side, and don't have much time. At the moment, I spend a lot of time teaching in the background, the present and the future world leaders how to become peaceful, how to use the technology for peace. I'm spending a lot of time on the political front and diplomatic front to make sure we achieve what we are set for. And the knowledge now is in the hand of knowledge seekers. What you want to develop? We have the research centers. Now we have expanded our research center with people who are beneficial to the foundation to develop more, to go further. China now is reaching a large number of people in research and development, and our group has gathered in Shenzhen and are working to build the center and the teaching and the rest of it. And each knowledge seeker has taken his own corner of developing part of their factory and research and everything else. There's a lot of work goes thanks to the whole of the Keshe Foundation team. It's about 7, 8 of them. Now they have all gathered in 1 or 2 houses and working day and night together to make sure the Chinese factory and the process of progress in China is relentlessly followed. And I thank all of the Keshe Foundation team. Peter Langin heading it in China, which is now has taken over the commercial side and has developed it very rapidly in the past 2 or 3 weeks, to Shaojin, which is being the cornerstone to setting up the factories, to Chanlin in organizing everything in the background and the team they have set up around them to go. We need more knowledge seekers from China to move to Shenzhen to see this progress through. And we thank the offices of Chinese leadership in the background and the front supporting us. And those in what we call the security and the CPC who are keeping an eye on us and on the Keshe Foundation to make sure it develops the correct way for the next steps of development in China. It's a collective work. The same as in Mexico, we see Mexico going into operation and tell us by the 15th of this month in the initial water system and then progress to the others. Arizona is on the wing of receiving the systems to go up. And the same with Tehran, which now the first factory is set up to go ahead in the next couple of weeks to support Iran with the energy crisis through the development and delivery of the energy side of the Keshe Foundation. Any other question? You see, that's very strange. A lot of you don't realize, but it's putting pressure on other nations. You're all looking, I was looking at this in the past 2 days, 3 days. In Iran, there is a crisis with electricity, and there's a shortage of electricity. Iran can supply 50,000 megawatt per day to 56,000 megawatt, maybe pushing it to 60,000 megawatt, the energy demand of the nation. But you people outside Iran are in this computer mining, Bitcoins and others. And because of the cheapness of electricity in Iran, a lot of mining organizations have set up shop in Iran, and they're using 10% of the nation consumption. And they brought crisis to Iran. Why should you allow to make money on the back of mining, whatever you call Bitcoins, where the Iranian nation suffers with shortage of electricity? And As we know through our power generations and the MAGRAF systems which we have delivered and tested around the world, we can introduce up to 30% of the supply. This is how we're coming every union by setting up these factories in Iran. We support it to show that shortcut. But you lot are getting better. How come Iran doesn't get what we call sanctions for the mining companies who work there? You're good talking about nuclear, but you don't look at our computer scientists who are supporting all these new ventures of the free banking. A nation is suffering both ways. Sanctions by ridiculous conditions imposed by America, and then the Americans buying and selling, making a fortune on the minings, on the bitcoins, on the expenses of Iranians which are short of electricity. It doesn't work that way. And this is part of what people don't see. What we see, crisis around the world with energy, has hit Iran very heavy in the past 2 years, 3 years. Because you are benefiting, you're buying your bitcoins at 30,000, 40,000 euro, where the power supply, cheap power supply of Iran, which is in crisis, you're benefiting by it. So we support the nation. We go in there to deliver technologies which supports the electricity very rapidly by people, for the people. These are the same in other countries. Nations which are short of or have a cheap electricity, these parasites move in, but they don't understand what they do to the nation. As I said to the officials, we have the technology, locate them and give them a good high energy supply of plasma, see if their computers works again. Why doesn't President Biden put sanctions on the companies who use Iranian electricity for the American dealers to make money on? One way, one-sided sanctions to the benefit of those who benefit themselves from. You got to look at the bigger picture when you sit in these kind of positions. As I said, it's like the cocaine farms, the wheat farms they set up. They don't care what it does and how it brings the people to problem with the energies they use. Now we have these farms, what we call coin farms or whatever, which is putting pressure on many nations like this. And who benefits by it except the dealers in the West? Any other
Okay, we have a couple of quick questions and then we can let the Mariners have her question. Antonio says, the blocking of Mark-Ray by the Trump administration, has that been sorted now with the new administration?
We are talking. We are
Okay.
doing. We don't disclose anymore, but it stays in the same position. But we have to see what Biden decides to do. But the point of the whole solution is what we come to an agreement with the Germans. Germans have to stop supporting the state of which is responsible for many of the problems in Europe. Germany cannot run two horses. They have to decide. And this is part of the negotiation with the German government in the 5+1. The problem in 5+1 is not one nation with Iran. It's against the industrial world, seeing Iran as becoming an industrial power they're trying to block. The beauty with it is that we have the educated people, we have the finances through oil and the others, and we have the facilities to go. And they are trying to stop a nation to grow because they know they're going to fall behind. But this time is different. The biggest problem with Mark-Ray is Germany at the moment, the way we see it, and we will resolve it in the what we call in the coming up conferences. Our problem, Mark-Ray, with America is part of, but the major part of this is with Germany, which we explain to them and they will understand. Okay, it's resolvable.
And what about he also asked, will the listing on the Frankfurt and Chinese Stock Exchange take place?
Still working on it. We are working on it. We don't disclose because we saw what they did with Macrae. We work totally different way this time. No, as I said, we were open. I mean, even when we announced the opening of the city of Linz, these what we call hooligans, they tried to stop, and they told us every call coming in. We saw in the design center. Now we saw they're trying to find out where we are, or finding out where the Keshe Foundation is, trying to say, oh, we are a terror, we are a this, and go to the court. You know what the guy that told them? The court of Belgium is as good as the Hitler courts and Saddam Hussein. Kangaroo courts by them. There's no difference. And they threw it to the wall. The investment and the energy put into Austria shows how correct the Keshe Foundation is. And these people with a few telephone calls. And I'll tell you one thing, when we track these people, they all go back to the pedophile groups, which we damaged 6 years ago. They lost their income. The guy in Linz who calls, he is the biggest pedophile in the area of Linz. You know him, we'll publish his picture and his name and his face very soon. That the people know. We isolate these groups the way we isolated Alan Sterling. And then we'll see how they react. And there are 2 or 3 people, and there are one in Germany and 2 other places. And we've seen even those who are with us, they're connected to pedophiles. We open these files very, very soon. We kept away from this topic because we were working on it to bring another, what we call massive damage to the pedophile groups. The way we got the Alan Sterling with it, 7,000 people got arrested, and one of the biggest, largest circles of the pedophiles, even to the guy in America who they found that is connected to the Alan Sterling, the big guy who's connected to all the rich guys. They're part of the same, and we see the same thing. No one does anything but support, and we carry on with our work. We've seen the relentless pressures on expansion of the new technology by governments, and we follow it. And there is a need there's a scientific background to it, but anyone opposition we've seen, even in the past year, they have huge pedophile cases. They're connected to, and you will see they become demolished. One of the main pedophile organizers, head of rings, has left the Keshe Foundation. And that's why we say peace. We do not disclose a lot of things to the public, but this is part of what we see. The biggest link, a lot of people told us, how come pedophile target Keshe Foundation? Because the biggest link to it was connected to Keshe Foundation, and it's not there anymore. The biggest link, one of the oldest links in pedophile groups in Europe, was connected without our knowledge into the back of the Keshe Foundation, and we had it. The supply chain was there, and now we stopped it. And it's the same with other parts. We don't touch it because now we handle things in a different way because we stay as a scientific organization. But we don't talk about what's happening outside because once we tell, they find different ways to do. And now we don't talk, we just carry on, and it's for them to call, but we receive all the news, all the information, and security reports. This is part of being a large organization. We used to be very open, and our openness was used to damage us. Now we don't disclose, but we get all the security reports. The gentlemen in Linz will soon release their names and pictures in their own community, who they are and what the pedophiles they are. The only reason they are opposed is because they lost their children and their income they used to get from the trafficking. Austria was one of the main centers of trafficking from Eastern Bloc, as being the border of many of them, into Central Europe. And the guy has lost his position and money income in it. And the children he used to get. We released the pictures and we posted on his front door and his community. But this is the job of the Keshe Foundation, to develop the technology and to spread the technology. These parasites always exist. Any other?
Okay, let's hear from Marinez now. Go ahead, Marinez.
Good day, Mr. Keshe, all knowledge seekers, beautiful knowledge seekers everywhere. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Like Dr. Gatwa, I have the same experience. And even though I'm not physically able to help you, but all my soul and my heart and my prayers is that you attain your goal of equality of all humans. And I'm sure there are milliards of people who have the same praying and are tired of divisions, false divisions in the world. We all are sisters and brothers. And the Quran says, I created you from one man and one woman. So we are all from the same parents. And secondly, when you said about not to accept any bank or investment outside the foundation, it reminds me of the Quran says, to believers, don't let your shrines to be constructed by those who are not believers. And another question is, well, at first I wanted to ask if there is a prerequisite for your conferences, which come the first and the second one.
There is no prerequisite. The only thing is, if you come to be a knowledge seeker, is to gain knowledge, not from the teachers in the conference, but from each other.
Of course.
The beauty of these conferences is many knowledge seekers learn from each other very quick. But we have become aware of, at the same time, others who come in to infiltrate Keshe Foundation in a different way in these conferences. We saw it in the Rome conference, and we saw it in the Dubai conference. And we still do our security check. We still pass everything on to the national securities we are connected with to give us any references. But otherwise, as knowledge seekers, you're always welcome, because it's not coming to the conference, it's bringing the spirit of knowledge and peace together. And how you get there, how you do it, and how you share it is all dependent on you.
Thank you, sir. And if I may, I have a question from the past teachings, and you can answer the only one. You talked about detachment, and I have a feeling somehow you said something. Okay, I put it this way. Is there a side effect of detachment for elevation of us?
Love.
Nothing.
Love.
Pardon?
Is falling in love. When you become detached, everything is lovable.
With detachment?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And when you, about this arrogance of knowledge seeker, or what's the attitude not to get down to the arrogance of knowledge?
It's understanding that what you know is nothing compared to the totality. And this is what allows you not to be arrogant. This is part of being true knowledge. Doesn't matter what you know, when you're there, you do everything needs to be done to be able to bring the next step. We see this with the knowledge seekers who now recently start joining the Keshe Foundation in different ways. They don't expect me to do things in the office or Klaus to do things just because we are there as heads and whatever. We sweep the floor, we unpack the boxes, we take the post, we do everything. And it's not that I'm sitting there, I'm the boss, or I know much you have to do. I go to the lab when it is, do things and be there, and the same with other people. But some people see it, it's not just a suit and what you see outside. We are very humble, we are very down to earth. We still do things. Some of the pens you get from paint pens you receive, 100%, all the mixture in it, up to now, most of it has been made by me. I go in the lab and I just mix it because I do it with love and care. Because I know what is needed by humanity. Some of the equipment you receive, I do personally all the mixtures. Even though the recipes are given, they can do. There shouldn't be arrogance just because you have the knowledge or you have a position. And this comes out of understanding that what you have is nothing compared to totality.
Thank you. Just the last thing, maybe it's another subject. Can we have the products in France? I have problems since some years. Does it mean that there is no delivery to France?
No, we have no problem delivering to France. We had a structure after structure of things which are put the wrong way in the Keshe Foundation. And I was actually going through boxes yesterday in the office, and I found boxes of a lot of Belgian Post books not delivered. And when we went to the post, they said, we have an instruction not to deliver anything which is a Keshe Foundation. We send the books out, and they were keeping it in the post office, not sending it out to give the bad reputation that we don't deliver. We had the same thing with DHL. They blocked huge amount of our goods out of Italy. And when we took them to court, Giovanni told me, he says, Mr. Keshe, they tell us they've got the instruction not to deliver, but we have to pay the bills because we gave them the goods. The goods are sitting there going nowhere. The damages to Keshe Foundation is not just from one side. And now we have resolved this problem, hopefully in a different way. There is no way in the world that we cannot deliver, from China to Russia to far corners of the earth. We had to find, and the new management of the Keshe Foundation have set up and sorted most of these things. Now within 24 hours, most of the goods go. If you have goods which are delayed, the only reason we have is a scientific development. When we put a product till it goes to go to the market, we see a development, we stop it. We just don't send it because we had something, gave it to you, and then you buy the next one. It's the same with air enhancement. It's been developed so fast, it's test after test development. From the time we put it with other submission, it has stepped up by maybe 10 times more in the strength and technology and understanding of doing it. So the same with the glasses. The glasses are the same. We have developed it, and then it had to be redesigned and everything else to get the maximum effect. And now they're completed, they go. We don't have much things behind, more or less, except what's coming out of China, which we don't deliver. You should receive it. Wherever you are in the world, you should receive it. We have one of the African nations a box yesterday in the office because one company wouldn't take it. Now they've done that before. We noticed from the past, the heads of the Keshe Foundation, there were people who ordered books from 2016, book number 1. There are a number of books which are ordered, but never the old structure with Italy never dispatched them or couldn't dispatch them. All has been done. We got all, the new management has got all the past orders from 4 or 5 years ago to see if there is one missing to be fulfilled. And if it cannot be fulfilled, we'll let you know. There is nowhere in the world with the new management of style of management of delivery, which Ella and Wang Lin have put into position, both in China and outside, and the new delivery team, which we have put in Austria and in China. There are people who are responsible for it, and they immediately see to it. Any delay, it's the work of the post office, what they call it, delivery companies, which were told not to send or deliver Keshe Foundation goods. Peter files are very strong around the world. Don't worry about it. They give different favors and they get what they want. I had this discussion in depth with Giovanni. So, Mr. Keshe, we are paying 17,000 euro to DHL, and they tell us they will not deliver our goods. They're holding it. And if you don't do, we deal with the Italian mafia. I said, just pay. Close the account.
Thank you. I wish it's, because sometimes I can't even get to the final paying situation. Before I could, now I
if you
cannot.
go through PayPal, you always, everything in the Keshe Foundation has been made as simple as possible. The IT team in the Keshe Foundation now in Iran is getting supported heavily. They're coming up with a new structures you will see in the upcoming time. And with the IT here in Europe, where everything is getting well looked after. A lot of little problems have been solved, but there are bigger problems which we have to solve in a long term. But there should be no territory that we cannot reach. If you have a post office, we can reach.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. All blessings to you. Thank you.
Any other question?
We have a question from Josefa from Brazil, contributed by Cristinho in the Q&A here in the Zoom. Says, Mr. Keshe, good morning to you and everyone, and thank you for sharing so much knowledge. So in previous classes, you talked about going back to the book and seeing it in a new dimension of knowledge. So we realize it's real. There's something there that hasn't been captured yet. I have 3 questions. The first is the emotion of knowledge the true knowledge of the universe and the creator?
What?
Is the emotion of knowledge, I guess, the same as the true knowledge of the universe and the creator?
Is the same. If you understand the true knowledge of the universe, you have understood the creator. As simple as that. What's the next question?
The next one I'm trying to get clarified is the spectrum of man's emotion just the condition of the interaction between the AH and the AF in the Earth's fields, or also in the universal system? And I'm not sure what he means by AH and AF. Third question is what dictates, I've asked them for clarification for that. What dictates the release of knowledge?
Clarity of conscious and detachment. The biggest problem with the knowledge, especially in a human being, is that once we gain it, we think it's ours and we protect it and we get worse with it. And if you add one word to it, then it becomes worse. It becomes part of us. Then we don't let it go because it's us. Then we become more narrow-minded. But actually, when you learn more knowledge, you have to become more free to learn more, because now you understood, you didn't know, and you don't understand all of it. And this is where it comes, the arrogance and attachment to a few pieces of what we call magnetic field, we call it knowledge, which you might have got it the right way. But when you detach, it comes to you because you see the other side of it. When you're attached to your PhD, you won't listen to nobody else because that's it. And those 3 words is your life. But if you understand there are other PhDs that you can learn from, and you become detached from those 3 words, you learn other things. This is very true if you look at especially one class of educated people. We don't see this much outside, but one type of highly educated people diversify. And extendedly, 2. One of them are dentists, and the other one are some physicians, some doctors. When dentists get to the age that their hand shakes a little bit, and they had enough of zing of the sound of the drilling machine, or they cannot help the patients that much, they diversify into, most of them, to homeopathy or acupuncture or another alternative medicine. They accept it because in a way they get forced to, but in a way they see it as another way to have the satisfaction of their work to be carried out. The other one we see is with medical doctors. Some medical doctors who are truly there to help their patients, they don't see solution in one traditional medicine or what we call now the present chemistry of chemicals. They diversify, they see the pain of the patients, they diversify to other lines of the medicine to add to that they can give a better life to their patients. And then they become what we call not arrogant anymore, but they become open to new sciences, new technologies, new knowledge. We don't see that with physicists and with others. There's a lot of arrogance in that field of the world, with the chemists especially. One formula is their life, and they're protecting and they know it all in a way. But we see this in what we call into the world of medicine. Those who really truly want to help others, they diversify and they become detached. They don't stand by what is in the book, but they talk about what is in the books of knowledge. We don't see it with much other people. And this is part of what we call becoming detached. The knowledge itself. The more you learn, the more you understand you know nothing. And then you learn more about what you know nothing, but you understand there's more than one nothing you know. Can I ask you a question, or can I recommend? Those of you who want to, in the conference in Minsk, like the same in Bucharest, would like to show new technologies in the space, get in touch with the Keshe Foundation, bring your ideas that we evolve and understand more of. The same with the agricultural conference 2 weeks later, and the same with the second space conference, which will most probably be around production of what we call water and energy in space. We put the second and the third conference in August for agriculture and the space for energy and water and deeper space. up in the shop. You can book for it. Maximum capacity at the moment is what we call 60 people, and all the conferences stays at €500. Any other question?
Yes, I'm just trying to sort out a question here in the YouTube from Jared, who wants to know a question from the books about principal field, about the strengths of the principal magnetic field. Does it contain the strengths of the principal field plus the magnetic fields after they've interacted with their own fields? In other words, is the principal plus the interaction of fields, or only the
Yes.
principal fields?
Yes, of the highest order strength, yes.
When do they become lower order strength? When they interact with other...
And they become matter state.
Sorry, I think I interrupted there.
When they become a transition or they become matter state, we call it a past the principle. Because don't forget, when you are principle, which is the highest order, and they interact with each other within a plasma, their expansion and reduction in strength makes them to travel or to be attracted to another field in another dimension or position within the same environment. So then when they reach that new environment, then they become themselves in the matter state, but now at the same time, during what we call, for example, nuclear decay or interaction of the fields of the matter state in that position with the other fields, they now become the principle themselves of the next cycle, because now become the source of the next cycle, while themselves came from another position. It's very much in nuclear industry, we call it nuclear decay. We come from, let's say, uranium decay to two new materials. So now these two new materials become new source of energy that they have to decay to another lower level. But in essence, the uranium was the mother, it's the source, it's the principle. But in coming to a new material, in that time interacting with their environment, now they behave as a new principle for the next stage.
And does the principle only exist as in the plasma condition, or is it in rays or fields?
It's usually
or all?
as a plasma. We call it as a plasma, and in a way as a plasma of the fields. The rays hardly ever break up, but as a plasma, they interact.
Are the rays the transition then from a plasma to something else?
It could be part of the essence of the plasma itself or part of a transition. You see, in English, we have a very good say for this. We have a gamma rays and we have alpha rays. For example, we call the alpha rays which come from particles, but gamma rays are in the field themselves. They don't, they have no entity. In a way, what we call the alpha ray, the gamma rays is what they call in the strength of the light, we call it the light particle array. Depends on which strength is emitting, what fields of light is emitting. Not all the lights are of the same strength. And depends what you can absorb from it. Depends how sensitive you are or what you allow to be handled by the next step. I was explaining this to knowledge seekers very recently. During the development of the Iran space reactors, I have no problem. To me, radiation is just like another piece of physically handling radiation sources. Even the gamma rays or alpha rays, to me is no difference, because the rays don't interact with me. And this was a big puzzle to the Iranian scientists, how freely I handle nuclear material without any fear of radiation or whatever. I've done that from young age. Somehow my body is in tune with nuclear radiation. This was even a puzzle to my, what they call, peers in Queen Mary College. I could walk around the nuclear reactor openly and handle things where they couldn't detect anything attached to my body or getting affected by. The first couple of times was a big fear. I was contaminated, but they found that I don't get affected by radiation. Doesn't matter if it's in a particle or in a ray field. But the new science we have is when you go to the world of the plasma and in space level radiation, we have the same kind of radiations which are not known at the moment to man. I've explained this before in the teaching. That the fields, what you call cosmic rays, there are rays in the cosmic rays man has not even understood, but strange enough, in the what we call transition, they become part of the energy, become part of our body cell. Our body absorbs them. Some of the, what we call universal, we call cosmic rays, are source of energy and food to us as human beings, which we never considered. We just think about the food we eat, but cosmic rays, what we call solar rays, are part of our lives. We cannot be kept away from them, because the 2,000 calories we use a day, we receive another, God knows, thousands of calories from the rays of the sun and from the rays of the cosmic rays. When they speak about neutrinos, some of them slow down within the body of the man and transfer their energies as energy resources. The way we go to, what do you call it, spas or warm waters to get different kind of minerals, as we travel through the solar system on regular basis in different parts of the solar system, we absorb cosmic rays as part of our food. We need it, otherwise our structure cannot live. And in certain positions, we absorb radiations which are part of the cosmic rays. We need it to live. And our body attracts it through its gravitational field forces. But our knowledge is not that far. We just look at the apple and the orange we eat and whatever else we do. And this process is part of, if we could understand it, part of the aging of the man is not just by itself, it's partly because of the interaction with the cosmic rays. If you change it, we can change a lot of things. If you walk in the night, or if you work in the Keshe Foundation labs, we see direct effects of the night and day on our equipment, even on the lifts and everything else. You look at it as what we call the water level in the oceans and how they rise. But if you worked in the Keshe Foundation labs, you see the gravitational magnetic fields create a specific, especially on the weights and fields during the day and night. We all see the same thing, the system goes up or comes down during the day and night. Even though in a closed space, there is no day and night outside the field, gravitational field of the Earth, with the cosmos and everything else, we see it directly on our system. Change of weight, change of position, and sometimes even change of rotation in certain positions. Then you realize there's more than what you see just in what we call the tides of the water. If you work with what we call dynamic systems and gravitational systems in the lab, because we work with plasma, we see it directly. Most of the mechanical engineers won't see it because it's there, it doesn't move. But when you run dynamic plasma systems, you see it. Your reactor moves to a different position, or the rotation changes, or the field of the rotation changes. If you go back into some of the teachings in the Sensano, when we hung the star formation, which was on the wood in the lab, this was made by Armin. You could see, we put the dust on the floor, we could see how the dust was changing and how the distance was changing. And it repeated itself systematically every day. We could more or less clockwork it. This is a time when it moves less, or it goes higher, or it comes lower. Because we deal with the plasma, we see those interactions. So it must have the same thing. Our body is made of gas. It has the same effects on our body. But we never considered it, because we only measure the how much apple and orange and what water you drank, how much energy you took. We take vast amount of energy during the cycle of the day, the season, the year, and the position of our solar system where we are in. Gradually we learn. Gradually we understand, because we are against. Up to now we never considered it. Now we see it, we consider it, and we can adopt it and calculate it. Any other question?
Marius does confirm in the Q&A here that day one of the presentation in Romania is booked for 100 seats, but they do have the ability to extend it to 150 by tomorrow evening, which is the last day. So there's one more day for people to still get a reservation for the first day of July 17th, that is. I think you covered most of the rest of the questions, if not all of them. I'm trying to see here if there's something. Oh, there's one more from I Am. Will humans be able to learn more of your knowledge after death if you are the only one teaching this in the universe?
Death is a physical condition, and our teaching never stops. Any other question?
Checking out here. I don't see any more hands up, Mr. Kesh. I think you've left everybody spellbound or incapable of raising their hands in some way.
It's nearly 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to end things for today?
It's not the value, but it's the strength of the knowledge which counts. We can teach 5 minutes and be taking 5,000 years to explain it. It's the quality, not the quantity. Thank you very much.
Perhaps a quick question from Dan, who just popped up in the Q&A. The difference between CNOH and CO2 is one hydrogen. Is it deuterium?
What?
He says the difference between CnOH and CO2 is one hydrogen. Is it deuterium?
No. It's a combination of gravitational magnetic field of the elements. If you get the right field and the right CO2 and amino acid, you might get a deuterium out of it, but again, depends what you're going to put it and how you're going to put it.
Okay, well, perhaps we'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
We'll let Dan ponder that for the week.
We done that in China. In China, we made what they call like 4-pot structure by 4-pot structure. And it was done in the larger scale. It's like 30, 40, what do you call it? No, maybe more, 60 centimeter gaps. I'll draw it for you if I can get into the, what I call the whiteboard. What we did in China, we created something like this, a very big structure. This literally sits on the floor. And we put ganses in, different ganses, with similar ganses in different position. And at the same time, what we did, we left some spaces empty to see, for example, the interaction of fields, what it creates in, but similar things. And we analyzed the ganses which are created in these space gaps. And then the next month, we emptied everything and we changed the combination. This was like, I think about 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter by about 20, 30 centimeter high. So we had a good volume of interactions. And we could see how, for example, two fields interact and what it creates in two fields here. And it was left in open on the floor. And we could see how colors were changing and how gases were interacting, creating different materials or different fields. And when we could interact amino acid in some of them and see everything was the same, after 2 days we introduced amino acid, we want to see how the other things changes. It was something dismissed in the pot in the yard, but it was, we kept an eye on it because it was a lot of learning from it. There were cubes that actually they were built like this, and they put next to each other in different shape or form, and deliberately discarded because I wanted to see the natural process of it. And every now and then we changed something and watched, observed next few days or weeks how things changed. And this process can be used, for example, if you say CH3 and amino acid, to see what does it create here. Is it actually deuterium? Or does this material here has any effect, or the fields here has effect on it? You won't get deuterium. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you next week. And for sure we'll see you in a conference in Bucharest in 7-8 days time. And thereon we'll hopefully see you in the conference in Linz, the 2-3 conferences for September, October in Linz, the first one, 4th and the 5th for the space technology, 2 weeks later for agriculture, and the following to that, the second space technology conference. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh, once again for yet another Knowledge Seekers workshop here. Just get the slide up. And we thank Jedi Simon for the new background image for the workshop here. It's very nice. Thank you for that contribution. And thank you, everybody, for attending today's 388th Knowledge Seekers Workshop on Thursday, July 8th, 2021. And let's see, we have various things coming up, such as the what's called the Spray Day, or the spraying of the Dome of Peace on Sunday, coming up at 6 p.m. Central European Time with Liliana and her Zoom meeting with people that are checking in from around the world on their Dome of Peace spraying. And that can be accessed through the usual social media places where the links are posted. And also coming up on Monday is the, let me just get my date here on the calendar. It'll be the testimonials meeting on Monday, July 12th. That's at, that one's at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And we welcome people to present something, or an experience, or something you've created from, or something you've bought from the Keshe Foundation store, some product of the plasma technology or example of the plasma technology that you can show the world. And we would love to see it in the testimonials meeting on Monday. And of course, we'll see everyone back here in the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, same time next week.
Can I just add a bit, please? We had a discussion with some knowledge seekers in the past that there are scientists who would like to come to these conferences. We can sponsor a scientist to attend a conference, which means community can pay for their tickets or their entrance or their stay to come to the conference. That you introduce your scientists in universities and in different arenas into the new technology. So we can sponsor a scientist for a conference that you think in the future will be benefit to his university or his work in the development of the knowledge. So when we announce these kind of conferences, if you don't think you can attend, but you can sponsor a scientist to turn up, and you can get these scientists to turn up for these kind of conferences, it'll be a very nice way to introduce scientists into new technology. So you can explore different ways of bringing different people, different backgrounds to understand the technology that can become beneficial for them in the future, or the community or society we live in. Thank you very much, Ray.
Great, thank you, Mr. Kesh. Thank you. Okay, I think that wraps it up for today. I'll have ending videos here with some ads. And thank you, everyone, for attending. See you next time around.